Legends say they hit this far, a mark that few can ever spar. But when the rookie took her aim, the sergeant froze, she changed the game. If you love stories about courage, breaking barriers, and proving the impossible, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss a story that inspires. Now, let's dive into the incredible journey of Emma Carter, the rookie who shattered expectations and showed everyone what true strength really means. In the quiet town of Cedar Ridge, nestled among rolling hills and lined with narrow streets, everyone knew everyone. It was the kind of place where the diner's bell chimed every morning with familiar greetings, and where news traveled faster than the afternoon breeze. At the center of this close-knit community was the local military base, small but proud outpost where traditions ran deep and respect was earned, not given. Among the soldiers stationed, there was Sergeant Tom Callahan, a man respected for his sharp eye and years of experience. His word was often law when it came to the range, where every shot mattered and every mark told a story. He was a legend in the eyes of many, especially when it came to his long-distance shooting record, something no one dared to challenge. But that was about to change. Private Emma Carter had just arrived at Cedar Ridge Base. She was young, with a quiet strength that wasn't easily noticed at first glance. Emma was not one to boast or draw attention. She came from a small farm in the Midwest, where hard work was part of daily life. She had joined the military, not for glory, but for purpose to prove to herself, and perhaps to those who doubted her, that she was capable of more. From the moment she stepped onto the base, Emma felt the weight of skepticism. The older soldiers, hardened by years of service, looked at her with thinly veiled doubt. Women in this part of the base were few and far between, and the few who had been there before her hadn't made much of a mark. "You sure you're in the right place, rookie?" One of the privates sneered during basic training, his voice dripping with condescension. Emma simply nodded, eyes steady, refusing to let their words break her. But the hardest skepticism came from Sergeant Callahan himself. He was the kind of man who believed in tradition and discipline, and he made it clear that Emma had a long way to go if she wanted to earn his respect. "Legends only reach this far," he said one afternoon during shooting practice, his gaze fixed on the distant target. "You're just a rookie. Don't get your hopes up." The words stung, but Emma didn't let them show. She knew better than to waste energy on bitterness. Instead, she focused on her training, every morning before dawn and long after the sun had set. She practiced her aim, learned every trick, and studied the wind patterns that could turn a good shot into a miss. Yet, the base was not kind to her efforts. Whispers followed her steps, and some soldiers made quiet bets that she wouldn't last a month. The weight of their gout pressed on her like a heavy cloak, but Emma wore it like armor. Behind the scenes, Emma's mind was a storm of determination. She remembered her father's words from years ago, when he handed her his old rifle and said, "This isn't just about shooting straight. It's about shooting with heart." She held on to that memory tightly, drawing strength from it whenever the world seemed ready to write her off. Then came the day of the challenge, a chance to prove herself, or so it seemed. Sergeant Callahan was set to demonstrate his legendary long-distance shot at the annual base competition. It was an event that drew attention from all corners, a moment where heroes were made. Emma stood among the crowd, silent but steady, watching as the sergeant took his position. The air was thick with anticipation. When the sergeant's shot rang out and hit the target with unerring precision, the crowd erupted. "Legends only reach this far," he declared again, his voice firm and proud. Emma's heart beat faster, not from fear, but from a quiet promise she made to herself. She was going to reach farther, much farther. The crowd was still buzzing with excitement from Sergeant Callahan's perfect shot when Emma stepped forward. There was a hush, a sudden shift in the air. No one had expected the quiet rookie to volunteer for the challenge, least of all the sergeant himself. "Are you sure, Private Carter?" Callahan asked, his voice low but edged with disbelief. "This isn't some drill. It's not about trying. It's about knowing you can do it." Emma looked him straight in the eye. "I'm sure, Sergeant." Her voice was steady, calm, but inside, her nerves danced like wildfire. This was more than just a challenge. It was the moment she had been preparing for. The chance to prove she wasn't just another shadow in the ranks. The range cleared as everyone gave her room. The wind had picked up slightly, rustling the leaves along the line of targets set far down the field. Emma set her stance, adjusted her grip, and took a slow, deep breath. Her fingers were steady, her mind clear. Sergeant Callahan watched her with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. The other soldiers exchanged glances, some doubtful, some intrigued. A few whispered bets began anew, quietly questioning if the rookie had bitten off more than she could chew. Emma squeezed the trigger. The bullet flew through the air, slicing past the expected distance. The entire range seemed to hold its breath. And then, thud, the shot landed well beyond the sergeant's mark, hitting the target squarely. A stunned silence spread. Then murmurs, rising into amazed chatter. The sergeant's face tightened. For a moment, his eyes flickered with something unreadable shock. Respect? Something deeper. Impossible, he muttered under his breath. Emma lowered her rifle slowly. She wasn't gloating. She was simply proving a truth she'd carried silently from the start. She was capable. That night, the base was alive with whispers of what had happened. The rookie had shattered a record that many believed was untouchable. Some called it luck, others a fluke, but no one could deny the shot. Emma, however, didn't feel triumphant. The win was just a beginning. She knew the real battle was yet to come. Back in the barracks, the weight of the day caught up with her. She sat quietly on her bunk, the small light above her casting shadows across her worn hands. The doubts of the past weeks pressed in. Had she really changed anything? Or was this just a momentary break in a long line of judgment? Her phone buzzed. A message from her mother. Saw the news. "Proud of you, Emma. Keep your head up." The simple words lifted her spirits. It wasn't about proving everyone wrong. It was about proving to herself that she belonged. But not everyone was ready to accept Emma's success. Over the following days, she faced quiet snubs and cold shoulders from some of the more traditional soldiers. They whispered behind her back, questioning her dedication, her discipline, even her place in the unit. One evening, after a particularly harsh day of drills, Sergeant Callahan approached her. His voice was quieter than usual, but firm. "You've got skill, Carter," he said, "but skill alone won't get you through this. This base, this job, it's about endurance and trust." Emma nodded. "I understand, Sergeant." The journey ahead was clear. She would have to fight for more than just respect. She'd have to fight to be seen as an equal. That night, as the base settled under a blanket of stars, Emma sat outside, looking up at the vast sky. Somewhere in the distance, the sounds of laughter and camaraderie floated, faintly reminders of a world she was still working to be a part of. But Emma felt something new, a quiet fire burning deep inside. She wasn't just here to shoot farther than anyone else. She was here to change the story. Days turned into weeks, and the atmosphere on the base began to shift slowly, but not always kindly. Emma felt the subtle resistance in every interaction. Some soldiers still avoided her gaze. Others made sharp comments thinly disguised as jokes. Even Sergeant Callahan's respect seemed to carry a hidden challenge, as if he were waiting to see whether she could back up her shot with real grit. But Emma was ready for that. Every morning, long before the sun peeked over the hills, she was out on the range, practicing. She worked on her stance, her breathing, her focus. The rifle became an extension of herself, a tool she mastered bit by bit. Her efforts did not go unnoticed by everyone. Lieutenant Harper, a woman in command who had quietly observed Emma from the start, called her aside one afternoon. "You're making waves, Private," Harper said, her tone firm but encouraging. "Not everyone here likes it, but I've seen what you're made of. Keep pushing." Emma felt a flicker of gratitude. Harper's support was a lifeline, a reminder that not all battles were fought alone. Yet, with progress came pressure. The base was preparing for a regional competition, a chance for soldiers to showcase their skills beyond Cedar Ridge. It was a big deal, and the sergeant's long-distance record was once again the center of attention. "Think you're ready to defend your new title?" Callahan asked Emma one evening as they cleaned their rifles side by side. Emma looked up, meeting his steady gaze. "I'm ready." But readiness wasn't just about skill. It was about endurance, trust, and something more: acceptance. The weeks leading up to the competition were grueling. Emma pushed herself harder than ever, often ignoring the ache in her muscles and the fatigue in her bones. She studied every lesson, every tip, every story of the legends who had come before her. One afternoon, as she practiced alone, a group of soldiers approached. Their leader, Private Jenkins, was known for his sharp tongue and quick temper. "Well, if it isn't the record breaker," Jenkins sneered. "Think you're some kind of legend now?" "Just a lucky shot, that's all." Emma's jaw tightened. She could respond with anger, but instead she chose calm. "Luck didn't put that bullet where it needed to be," she said quietly. "Practice did." Jenkins scoffed. "We'll see how far you get at the competition." Emma nodded, undeterred. The challenge only fueled her determination. When the day of the regional competition arrived, the base was buzzing with anticipation. Soldiers from neighboring posts gathered, each hoping to claim victory and bring honor to their unit. Emma stood at the firing line, the rifle familiar in her hands, but the stakes higher than ever. The targets were set at distances she had never faced before, farther, more difficult. The wind was unpredictable, the tension thick. One by one, shooters took their turns. Some hit their marks, others missed. When it was Emma's turn, the crowd grew silent. She took her position, feeling the weight of every eye on her. Breathing deeply, she focused not on the crowd, not on the pressure, but on the target. Her shot flew true. Round after round, Emma's performance stunned the crowd. She wasn't just matching the legends, she was surpassing them. But then came the final shot, the one everyone had been waiting for. A long-distance shot that would decide the winner. Emma steadied herself, blocking out everything but the sight and the feel of the rifle. She remembered her father's words, the long hours of practice, the moments of doubt, and the strength she had found in herself. She fired. The bullet soared through the air, crossing a distance thought unreachable. Thud. The target was hit dead. Center. The crowd erupted in cheers. Sergeant Callahan stepped forward, a new look in his eyes, pride mixed with a hard-earned respect. "Private Carter," he said, his voice steady, "you've earned your place." Emma allowed herself a small smile. This wasn't just a win on the range. It was a victory over doubt, over prejudice, over every voice that had told her she didn't belong. But as the cheers faded and the crowd dispersed, Emma knew this was only the beginning. There were still battles to fight inside herself, and within the walls of the base, she had broken records and earned respect. Now she was ready to change the story of Cedar Ridge for good. After the competition, things at Cedar Ridge began to shift slowly, almost imperceptibly. Soldiers who once looked at Emma with doubt now glanced her way with a bit more respect, some even offering nods of acknowledgement as she passed. Yet, not everyone was ready to change. Behind the scenes, some of the older officers whispered their concerns. They saw Emma's rise as a disruption, a challenge to the traditions they'd long upheld. They questioned her place, not because of her skill, but because she was a woman who had defied their expectations. Emma felt the weight of these unspoken judgments every day. It was an invisible wall she had to push against, stronger and thicker than any physical obstacle. One evening, while cleaning her gear in the dimly lit armory, she overheard a conversation that chilled her. "She's good," a voice said, low and cautious. "But do you think she knows the cost? How far she's willing to go?" "Some things are better left alone," another replied. "Traditions exist for a reason." Emma clenched her fists, anger simmering beneath her calm exterior. She knew what they meant. They feared change, and they feared what her success might mean for them. But Emma wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for every woman who had ever been told she wasn't good enough, for every soldier who had been overlooked or underestimated. That night, she sat on the base's small porch, the cool breeze brushing against her face. The stars above were bright and endless, a reminder that beyond the limits set by others, there was always room to grow. Her thoughts were interrupted by Lieutenant Harper's voice behind her. "You're carrying a heavy load, Emma," Harper said gently. "But you don't have to do it alone." Emma looked up, surprised but grateful. Harper had become a quiet ally, someone who understood the battles that weren't fought with rifles. "I'm tired," Emma admitted. "Sometimes it feels like, no matter how far I shoot, the distance between me and respect only grows." Harper nodded. "That's the nature of change. It's hard, but you've already proven you can go farther than anyone thought possible. Now it's about opening the path for others." Emma felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this wasn't just about breaking records. Maybe it was about breaking barriers. The following weeks brought new challenges. Emma was assigned to lead a small training group, an opportunity and a test. Some soldiers in the group resisted her authority, their old biases creeping in. One afternoon, during a tough training session, one of the soldiers openly challenged her orders. "You don't know what you're doing?" he spat. "You're just lucky." The others laughed, but Emma didn't flinch. She met his gaze steadily. "Luck doesn't win battles," she said firmly. "Discipline, focus, and respect do. And if you're willing to learn, I'll help you get there." Her words weren't met with immediate acceptance, but the tone had shifted. For the first time, some of the soldiers hesitated before dismissing her. Over time, her group began to improve, not just in skill, but in attitude. Emma's quiet strength and unwavering commitment won over more hearts than she expected. Yet, the real test came unexpectedly. One morning, a serious accident occurred. On the base during a routine exercise, a fellow soldier was injured, and the atmosphere turned tense and uncertain. Emma was one of the first on the scene, her calm and quick thinking helping to stabilize the situation until medical help arrived. Her actions didn't go unnoticed. In the days that followed, Sergeant Callahan approached her again, not with skepticism, but with respect. "You handled that well," he said simply. "You've got more than skill. You've got heart." Emma felt something shift inside her. This wasn't just about breaking records or earning respect. It was about becoming a true leader, someone who could inspire, protect, and stand strong. When it mattered most, as the sun set over Cedar Ridge, Emma stood tall, ready for whatever came next. She had proven she could reach farther than the legends. Now it was time to build a legacy of her own. With the accident behind them, life on the base began to settle into a new rhythm, one that included Emma as more than just a skilled shooter or a rookie who broke records. She was becoming a leader, a force to be reckoned with, and slowly, the base was beginning to recognize that. But with new responsibility came new challenges. Emma found herself balancing her own training with leading her team and navigating the complex politics of the base. It wasn't easy. One afternoon, during a strategy meeting, she noticed the subtle but pointed glances from some of the senior officers. They respected her abilities but were hesitant to fully accept a woman leading in such a traditionally male environment. Emma's frustration simmered beneath her calm exterior. She knew what she had to do, prove her worth not just on the range, but in every aspect of military life. That evening, after the meeting, Sergeant Callahan pulled her aside. "You're doing good, Carter," he said. "But there's more too. This than shooting straight. You need to earn their trust, not just through skill, but through integrity." Emma nodded, knowing he was right. Trust was earned over time, through actions, sacrifices, and sometimes hard decisions. Her chance came sooner than she expected. A few days later, the base received word of a community outreach program, volunteering to help with repairs and support in the nearby town that had been hit by a severe storm. It was an opportunity for soldiers to build goodwill and show strength beyond the battlefield. Emma volunteered immediately. She saw it as a chance to show leadership in a different way. On the first day in town, Emma's group worked alongside locals, clearing debris, fixing homes, and offering support. The work was tough, physical, and emotionally draining. But it was also rewarding. As they worked, Emma noticed the wariness in the eyes of some townspeople, women and men who had faced hardship but held on to pride. Slowly, through her quiet kindness and steady leadership, she began to earn their trust as well. One afternoon, while helping repair a roof, Emma heard whispers among the townsfolk. "Isn't she the soldier who broke the sergeant's record?" One woman asked. "Yes," another replied. "They say she's tough, but kind." Emma smiled quietly to herself. This was different from the base. Here, respect was earned by action, by heart. Back at the base, news of the outreach reached the officers. Some scoffed at the idea of soldiers doing charity work, but others saw the value. Emma's efforts began to change the narrative. She wasn't just a record breaker. She was a leader who could inspire beyond the rifle range. But with every step forward, Emma faced personal sacrifices. The long hours, the physical exhaustion, and the constant pressure weighed heavily. Letters from home became lifelines, reminders of the world beyond the base. One night, alone in her quarters, Emma read a letter from her mother. "We're proud of you, Emma, no matter what. Remember who you are." The words filled her with renewed strength. Yet, the path to acceptance was far from over. Some officers still whispered doubts. Some soldiers still challenged her authority. Emma understood that true respect wasn't given. It was earned through relentless dedication. As weeks passed, a new test emerged, a challenge that would push Emma beyond her limits and force her to confront the deep-seated biases that still lingered. The base announced a special training mission, one designed to simulate real combat conditions. It was grueling, demanding both physical endurance and sharp leadership. Emma's team was selected to lead the exercise. The mission began in the early morning fog. Emma's group faced tough terrain, unpredictable scenarios, and moments that required split-second decisions. Throughout the exercise, Emma's calm under pressure and clear commands kept her team focused. They navigated obstacles, rescued simulated casualties, and completed objectives with precision. But the final test was the hardest. Simulated ambush caught part of the team off guard. Emma quickly assessed the situation, directing her soldiers to safety and organizing a counterattack. Her leadership saved the exercise and earned reluctant praise from some of the harshest critics. When the mission ended, Sergeant Callahan approached her again, this time with a nod of genuine approval. "You're not just breaking records, Carter," he said. "You're breaking barriers." Emma felt a quiet pride. The journey was far from over, but she had taken another step forward. That night, as she lay in her bunk, Emma reflected on everything she had faced, the insults, the doubts, the sacrifices. She was no longer the underestimated rookie. She was a leader in the making, and Cedar Ridge was beginning to see it. The days following the training mission brought a new kind of tension to Cedar Ridge, mix of admiration, grudging respect, and beneath the surface, unresolved resistance. Emma's success had stirred something deeper in the ranks. For some, it was inspiration. For others, a challenge to long-held beliefs. Emma felt it every time she walked the base. The nods of respect from some were met with cold stares from others. But she no longer flinched. She had learned to stand tall through the whispers and the sideways glances. One afternoon, a surprise awaited her. Lieutenant Harper found Emma in the gym, pushing herself through a grueling workout. "You've got a visitor," Harper said with a smile. Emma turned to see an older man approaching. His uniform was impeccable, but there was something different about him, something that commanded attention. "Private Carter," the man said, extending his hand. "I'm Colonel James Monroe. I've heard a lot about you." Emma shook his hand firmly. "Curious. Your record-breaking shot and leadership during the training mission have caught the eye of higher command," Monroe explained. "We're considering recommending you for an advanced training program at Fort Bragg." Emma's heart skipped. Fort Bragg was one of the most prestigious military bases in the country, home to elite training that few were chosen for. "It's an honor," Emma said quietly. "But I want to continue serving here at Cedar Ridge." Monroe nodded thoughtfully. "I understand your commitment. But this program could open doors, not just for you, but for every woman and soldier who's ever been overlooked." Emma considered his words. The decision wasn't easy. Leaving Cedar Ridge meant stepping away from the place where she had fought so hard to prove herself. After some reflection, Emma agreed. The news spread quickly. Some cheered her success. Others murmured doubts. Sergeant Callahan pulled her aside. "Don't forget where you came from," he said gruffly. "And don't let the spotlight change who you are." Emma nodded. "I won't." In the weeks before her departure, Emma worked tirelessly. She trained harder, prepared her team to continue without her, and faced every challenge with the same quiet strength. One evening, as she packed her bags, Emma received an unexpected visit from Private Jenkins, the soldier who had once mocked her. He looked different, now less brash, more thoughtful. "Emma," he began awkwardly, "I wanted to say I was wrong about you. You've earned this. More than that, you've earned respect." Emma smiled softly. "Thank you, Jenkins. That means more than you know." The moment wasn't just about forgiveness. It was a sign of the changing tide. At Cedar Ridge. As Emma boarded the transport to Fort Bragg, she looked back at the base, a place of challenge, growth, and hard-won respect. She was ready for the next chapter. At Fort Bragg, the training was intense and demanding. Emma was surrounded by the best soldiers in the country, many of whom were skeptical of the rookie who had come from a small base. But Emma was undeterred. She threw herself into every exercise, every lesson, every challenge. Her determination caught the attention of instructors and peers alike. One evening, after a long day of drills, Emma received a message from Sergeant Callahan. "Keep proving them wrong, Private. Legends aren't born, they're made." Emma smiled, feeling the weight of those words. She was no longer just a rookie from Cedar Ridge. She was becoming a legend in her own right. At Fort Bragg, the pace was relentless. Emma found herself in a world far different from Cedar Ridge, a place where the stakes were higher, the expectations stricter, and the competition fierce. But with every grueling day, every sleepless night, she grew stronger. The advanced training pushed Emma to her limits and beyond. She faced intense physical challenges, complex tactical drills, and high-pressure decision-making exercises. Many of the other trainees, some seasoned soldiers, viewed her with skepticism. an outsider from a small base who had broken a record, but hadn't yet proven herself on this bigger stage. Emma didn't respond to their doubt with words. She let her actions speak. During a particularly difficult exercise simulating a hostile environment, Emma's team was tasked with a rescue mission under fire. The scenario was chaotic and dangerous, designed to test leadership and composure. Emma took charge. She directed her team calmly, keeping communication clear despite the noise and confusion. When one member was injured during the exercise, Emma didn't hesitate to coordinate a safe extraction while maintaining the mission objective. The instructors watched closely. Emma's leadership and quick thinking earned praise, but more importantly, it began to shift the attitude of her peers. After the exercise, a fellow trainee, Sergeant Daniels, approached her. Known for his tough demeanor, Daniels was one of the last to accept her. "You did good out there, Carter," he admitted. "Guess you're not just a lucky shot." Emma nodded, grateful for the acknowledgement. "Thanks, Daniels." It's about teamwork. Days turned into weeks, and Emma's reputation grew. But the real test was yet to come, a final evaluation that would determine who graduated and who would return home. The evaluation was a grueling 48-hour field exercise, combining physical endurance, tactical skills, and leadership under pressure. It was designed to push every soldier to their breaking point. Emma's team was ready. They moved through the simulated battlefield with precision, navigating obstacles and completing objectives. When faced with unexpected challenges, like a sudden change in mission parameters or an ambush, Emma adapted swiftly, keeping her team focused and safe. As the exercise wore on, fatigue set in. Emma's body ached. Her mind was exhausted, but she refused to give in. On the final night, as they huddled around a small fire, Emma took a moment to look at her team, the soldiers who had come to trust her, to rely on her. "I know this isn't easy," she said quietly, "but we're in this together. We're stronger because we have each other." Her words sparked a renewed energy. They pushed through the final hours with determination and grit. When the exercise ended, the instructors gathered the trainees for the results. Emma stood with her team, heart pounding. "Private Carter," the lead instructor announced, "you have demonstrated exceptional skill, leadership, and resilience. You and your team have earned your place here." Relief and pride washed over Emma. But beyond the personal victory, she felt something deeper, a sense that she was part of something bigger. Later, as she prepared to leave Fort Bragg, Emma received a call from Sergeant Callahan. "You did it, Carter. You proved them wrong again." Emma smiled, the weight of her journey settling in. "I'm not done yet, Sergeant. This is just the beginning." Emma's return to Cedar Ridge was nothing like the day she first arrived. The base felt different, warmer, more open, and the soldiers she passed nodded with genuine respect. The journey had changed her, but it had also changed them. Sergeant Callahan was waiting for her at the gate, his usual gruff expression softened by a rare smile. "Welcome back, Private Carter, or should I say Sergeant Carter now?" he said, nodding toward the rank insignia on her uniform. Emma touched the new stripes lightly. She had earned that promotion through sheer grit and determination. But more than that, she had earned her place, not just on paper, but in the hearts and minds of those around her. She looked around at the faces of the soldiers she had trained, allied and inspired. Some of them had once doubted her. Now they stood beside her as equals. But Emma knew her work wasn't done. The base had its challenges, the old prejudices, the whispers, the resistance to change. Emma had seen it firsthand, and she was determined to address it head-on. One afternoon, she called a meeting of the entire unit. Standing before them, Emma spoke clearly and with conviction. "We've come a long way, but there are still battles to fight," she said. not just with our rifles, but with our attitudes. Every one of us deserves respect and a chance to prove ourselves. That's what makes us strong. Her words struck a chord. The room was silent, but the weight of her message hung in the air. From that day forward, Emma worked to build a culture of respect and inclusion at Cedar Ridge. She mentored new recruits, especially women, encouraging them to push past limits and challenge expectations. But her impact went beyond the base. Word of Emma's story spread through the military community and into the nearby town. She was invited to speak at local schools and community centers, sharing her journey, the struggles, the victories, and the power of resilience. One evening, as she spoke to a group of young girls, Emma saw the spark of possibility in their eyes. Same spark she had felt years ago. That night, returning to her quarters, Emma found a letter waiting for her. It was from the injured soldier she had helped during the accident months before. Thank you for your strength and kindness. You showed me what true courage looks like. Emma smiled, the letter a reminder of why she fought so hard, not just for herself, but for everyone who believed in the impossible. Her journey from underestimated rookie to respected leader had been long and hard. She had faced insults, doubts, and sacrifices. But through it all, she had stayed true to herself. And in doing so, she had rewritten the story of Cedar Ridge. As the sun set over the base, casting a golden glow over the familiar landscape, Emma stood tall, ready for whatever came next. Because legends aren't just about records or ranks. They're about courage, heart, and the strength to change the world around them. And Emma Carter was just getting started.